Everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar today live on a very chilly day here in Connecticut. Or if you're watching the recording of this webinar, we thank you for being interested in learning more about our Green Liberty Notes program. My name is Rudy Stirk, Director of Marketing Communications for the Connecticut Green Bank. And with me today is my colleague David Beach, Senior Manager on our investments team, and Jackie Logan, Director of Climate Finance at Honeycomb Credit and co-founder of Raise Green. So today we have a very simple agenda for our presentation. First, I will provide some background on the Green Bank. Then I will pass the mic to David, and he will speak about the notes program and some of our investment, the origins of our investment program here at the Green Bank. And then Jackie will talk a bit about Honeycomb Credit, and we'll go through a very brief minute-long video of how to invest in our Green Liberty Notes. And then we'll leave some time at the end to answer any questions. So if you have questions as we go through the presentation, please type them into the GoToWebinar box, and we will do our best to answer them at the end. So again, thank you for joining today. If you aren't familiar with who the Connecticut Green Bank is, the Connecticut Green Bank was established in 2011 as the nation's first state-level green bank. There are a number of green banks across the country now, but Connecticut was the first one. We use limited public dollars to attract multiples of private capital investment. And we do this to help the residents of Connecticut, businesses, communities, really to thrive. And our mission is confronting climate change and increasing that investment. And our vision is a planet protected by the love of humanity. We know that we can't protect the planet and confront climate change without actively engaging and involving and protecting the humans that live here as well. So the Green Bank has three primary goals. I touched on it a little bit already, but leveraging those public resources to scale up and mobilize private investment into Connecticut's green economy is our first goal. And all of you who invest in Green Liberty Notes are helping us do that in a very special way. We also pursue investment strategies that help transform the market. David will talk a little bit about how our investments have helped transform and create a market for this type of investment. And we're committed to strengthening our communities in Connecticut, especially vulnerable communities. We have a piece of our mission that says that no less than 40% of our investment goes into vulnerable communities in our state. So how do we do all this? Our Green Bank model, as I've said a couple of times, is managing public funding and drawing in private investment. We bring in private investment in multiples of $6 to $7 per every $1 of public money that we receive. So it really is a very strong model. We have different types of tools that we use to deploy that money, including things like green bonds and green notes. And we measure a lot of the impact that comes out of it: economic development, ecosystem, energy-related, environment, equity-related targets across residential sectors and building sectors and community sectors in Connecticut. So we have solution lines that help all of those different types of stakeholders, whether you're a homeowner, a business owner, a commercial property owner, just a member of the community. We have programs that can help. Today, we're going to be focusing on our investment solutions, notes and bonds. Finally, since 2011, the Green Bank has been very successful in leveraging this model. We've invested more than $3.1 billion in Connecticut's green economy over that time. And again, leveraging that investment from the community and from private partners has been key to that. As you can see on the screen, for every dollar, $6.7 of investment goes back into Connecticut. And that investment helps create jobs. It helps reduce the energy burden on our homeowners and families and businesses in the state, generates tax revenue, and also, puts a lot of clean energy and renewable energy onto our grid. So again, we thank you for your interest in investing. I'm going to now hand this over to David so we can talk a bit about our Green Liberty investments and how your specific private investment helps us accomplish everything that I just talked about.
Thanks, Rudy. Ready to dive on.
Sorry, switching my headphones there. The Green Bank was inspired by the great collective action of the 1940s, when more than 85 million Americans pitched in and purchased $20 billion worth of Series E war bonds. Those came in denominations as low as $25, which is about $435 to be a part of this collective effort. And so the Green Bank was inspired by that. And on the 50th anniversary of Earth Day back in 2020, the Green Bank issued what we call our first Green Liberty bonds, available to families in Connecticut and Americans across the country. Go ahead, we can go to the next slide. Rudy will tell folks a little bit about our Green Liberty bonds. So the use of proceeds from the bonds are to invest to combat climate change and create jobs in our communities. We had a goal of making them retail accessible. Retail just means everyday citizens. So we did everything we could to lower the barrier of entry to purchase these bonds, getting the minimum denomination down to $100, and having a specific day that was only available for retail investors to invest. We went out of our way to get our bonds certified and verified as climate bonds or meeting green bond principles. And that was to provide consumer confidence and consumer protection. And so we had a lot of really great success, and feel like we're continuing on the tradition of offering everyday Americans to be a part of this great collective action. In our day and age, it's facing the climate crisis. But we knew there was, I think, more we could do to make these a little bit more accessible. So Rudy, you can go to the next slide. Rudy highlighted these earlier, but a couple of the goals of the Green Bank is one, to make the benefits of the green economy inclusive and accessible to all individuals, families, and businesses. And as I mentioned, the Green Liberty bonds that we had issued came in a minimum investment of $1,000, and retail investors needed to have a brokerage account to be able to invest. And so despite making our best efforts there, we knew there was that was still too high of a barrier to make these bonds truly accessible. And we also have a goal of pursuing investment strategies that advance market transformation in green investing. We try to be innovative and do something that nobody else has done and really deliver to the market. And so we came up with what we call our Green Liberty Notes. These are one-year crowdfunding issuances. You can see an initial bond buyer article about the Green Liberty Notes when we first put these out into the market about 4 years ago now. And since then, we have raised Green Liberty Notes through 15 rounds. And we lowered the barrier of entry by making the investment minimum just $100 and no need for investors to have a brokerage account, just an internet connection and the ability to send funds in to invest. And so on the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit more about what our Green Liberty Note program looks like. So as I mentioned, this is our 15th offering. We have raised now more than $4 million. And these notes help small businesses become more energy efficient. Your investment goes towards a portfolio of small business energy efficiency loans that make it easier for small businesses to do energy efficiency projects by offering an upfront incentive and low-cost financing that small businesses and municipalities can repay on their utility bills. And so we're really proud of this offering. Again, it's a one-year note. It kind of functions like a green version of a CD. You get your money back with interest after 1 year. It's a great opportunity for investors who have some money sitting in a savings account or want to put money in a money market fund or any other sort of shorter term investment. You now have an opportunity to do that, but in a green bond designated note that's supporting small businesses here in Connecticut. And this time on our 15th offering, we're also offering a special perk. For anyone who has invested previously, you'll get an extra 0.25% of interest. If you haven't invested yet, that's okay. You'll be eligible for future perks once you do invest. And I want to highlight this last bullet. Because we built our Green Liberty Notes for retail investors and to make investing in the green economy more accessible, we set a investment cap at $25,000, and we protect the smaller investors. So if you invest $1,000 or less, we will protect your investment. If you go online, and honestly, in this screenshot right here, you'll see that we are looking to raise $350,000, and we've received more than $400,000. Don't worry, if you'd still like to invest, we do protect those smaller dollar investments. So we protect $1,000 or less of investments, and otherwise everything else is first come, first served. So to do that, you can go to greenlibertynotes.com. And I think that is it in terms of my portion. I will hand it over to Honeycomb team to help you learn a little bit more about the platform where these bonds are issued, and talk a little bit more about how to invest.
Thanks, David. And so we're so appreciative of the long partnership we've had with the Connecticut Green Bank. They're innovative, they're, love to partner, and of course, are doing the important job in the state of Connecticut to grow our green economy and make sure it touches everybody. So scroll back to 2016, a very brand new regulation was created by the SEC. That regulation is called Regulation Crowdfunding. We all have heard about the word crowdfunding. It's bantered about in a lot of different ways, but when it comes to financial or money type transactions, sometimes we think of it as a donation based, and GoFundMe is an example of that. Sometimes we think of it as a reward based. Think about Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but then we move over to what we call regulated investment crowdfunding. And that is what we're talking about here. These are real financial investments, and they are open to U.S. entities that would like to raise capital, working with a funding portal, which is what we are, and opening it up to everyday folks to come in and invest. So in 2016, this regulation came about. I co-founded Raise Green, a crowdfunding portal, and we did it specifically with the focus that we wanted to see more small projects done across the United States in local communities, and give folks a chance to own those projects and own their own green energy future. And so we saw Reg CF as the opportunity to do that, and jumped in and built our platform. And after working on it for about 4 or 5 years, we joined up as a larger organization now with Honeycomb Credit. Honeycomb also being a funding portal focused on originally Main Street, small businesses. And now with Raise Green, we are full steam ahead, working in communities and seeing businesses supported and projects supported, and opening it up to everyday people. And as the slide says, the wonderful thing is that this opened new channels that finally, and as David shared, in a relatively simple and easily accessible process, everyday folks can jump on the platform, look at an offering, look at the Connecticut Green Bank offering, read the paperwork, it's right there. And if they're interested, click invest, open up an account, couple of fields you fill in, and the next thing you know, you've made an investment. Super easy. Minimum investment is $100, again, to open up accessibility. And we as the funding portal are, registered with the SEC. We're overseen by them and FINRA, and to ensure that offerings on the platform are compliant with the regulations. And this is transformed the opportunity really in the climate space to really get potentially smaller to medium-sized projects access to capital that might not in the past, and open it up to everyday folks to participate in our climate future. Next slide. Oh, we're here. And just about Honeycomb, as we said, these are securities issuance. In the case of Connecticut Green Bank, it's a debt security. It's a note, and issuers can raise various amounts all the way up to $5 million. We tend to see offerings generally in the 100,000 to $1 million per offering, and it's pretty flexible and efficient, as we mentioned. And the wonderful thing is it's inclusive and supportive, and really opens up the capital markets on both sides, for both folks raising capital as well as for everyday investors that want to take climate action. Next slide. And just we at Honeycomb now, as we are 7.5 years old. We've been doing this for quite a while. We've done over 600 plus offerings. We have an investor community we've built over time of about 25,000 folks ready to see a new offering and jump in and potentially invest, and looking to do a lot more in 2026. This is just, as David already had, this is a picture of what an offering page looks like on our platform. Every issuance has an offering page where you see all the relevant information. And this is actually the 14th offering. We're now on the 15th offering. So everybody is welcome to jump on the site, take a look around, honeycombcredit.com. And if you want to go straight to the Green Bank offering, I believe David just gave the little extra part to get there.
Yep. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah.
Thank
I think we have it's like a minute-long video that hopefully it's gonna play, and we'll just show you really quickly how it works. So if you go to greenlibertynotes.com and you go to invest, you'll be asked to create a login and sign in. And then once you're signed in, it's very simple to link your checking account or add a bank account or a credit card directly. You complete the information, put your name, routing number, bank account number right into the system. And very quickly, it creates that account, links your bank account to your Honeycomb account, and then you can invest directly. So a very simple process. And then after you invest, we love it if people go and put comments about why they invested, why they supported the offering. We've got lots of comments on our current offering page right now. It really shows why people are investing in green opportunities like this. But you can see that was the whole investment process. So very accessible, very simple. You don't need a broker. You don't need to jump through a whole lot of hoops to be able to invest, and as low as $100 minimum. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. Again, thank you to the folks who've joined. I think as David mentioned already, we have reached our maximum, but that doesn't mean that you can't still invest, that we will do our best to get in lower denomination investments and prioritize, of course, folks from Connecticut and folks under $1,000. So please don't be discouraged by the fact that we've already raised so much. The other thing that I'll say is that we are offering these on a quarterly basis. So if you aren't able to get into this one for January, there will be one coming in March. So we can add you to our contact list to make sure that you're aware of the next one coming in March. And feel free to always send us questions at the email address on the screen, investorrelations@ctgreenbank.com. I'm going to move the screen for 1 second here, and then I'm going to see what kind of questions have come in. Okay, so minimum investment amount is $100. The maximum investment on this round is $25,000. So anything between 100 and 25,000 is good. So yeah, anything between, there was a question of, is it $1,000 or $999? Anything in between. Anything in between 100 and 25,000 is perfect.
Yeah, and just to
Go ahead,
highlight,
David.
in terms of the investment level that we protect, it's $1,000. If you put in $1,000, we will protect 1,001. Then it kind of hits over the limit, but $1,000. So if that was a question between 1,000 or 999, 1,000 is fine.
And David, when you say protect, it just for the audience, that means that you'll prioritize
Yes.
those smaller investments to allow them to get in. And then once those are accounted for, everybody else
Yes.
comes in.
If you invest at that level, you are not at risk of missing out.
Mhm.
When we receive more investment than we're willing to accept, we have to, eventually, not accept some investments. But if you do invest $1,000 or less, you will be 100% protected, and we will ensure your investment gets to be a part of the raise.
Perfect. Yep, thank you for clarifying that. There was a question of, does one have to be a resident of Connecticut to invest?
Absolutely
No.
not. We've received investments from more than 40 states. So you certainly don't have to be a Connecticut resident to invest.
In fact, I think about 40% of the folks that come in are from outside the state.
Yeah.
And we've, just from our perspective, look, bottom line is the work that the Connecticut Green Bank is doing is important. It's important not just to the folks in Connecticut, it's important to people across the United States, because you are doing the work to get more energy efficiency, more projects done. And that basically is good for our grid. It's good for, everybody, right? Because it's kind of a zero-sum game at the end of the day. And so people feel it. And there isn't a lot of opportunity to take direct climate action like this, as an everyday person. So there's a lot of interest outside Connecticut.
Absolutely. A question about what happens at the end of the 1-year term, David. So what happens when that year is up?
Sure. So our investors have an opportunity to reinvest. As Rudy just mentioned, we issue Green Liberty Notes on a quarterly basis. So if you like, you can essentially reinvest in the next Green Liberty Note offering. And so you're able to take advantage of compound interest by taking your principal that you originally invested and your interest earned after a year and putting that into the next offering a year from now. If you don't want to reinvest, you'll just have the money received in your account in Honeycomb. And from there, you can send it directly to your bank account with no fees or anything. Or if you're interested, you can invest in other opportunities on Honeycomb site. So you have a few options.
Perfect. Thank you, David. A question about the issuance of 1099 forms. Do you guys want to? Yeah.
Honeycomb works with, my understanding is they work with a trusted party to manage and send out 1099 forms in a timely basis at the start of each new year. Please note, if you're investing now, you won't see a 1099 until the start of 2028, because your interest will be received in 2027, which means It won't be until you're filing taxes in early 2028 when you need the 1099 form. So don't be concerned if early next year you don't see one. Jackie, did I get that right?
Yeah. So the note is structured as a 1-year note, and at the end of the 1 year, you've been earning your interest that whole year, 4.25 or 4.5 or whatever. And at the end of that 1 year, the note matures. Your principal is returned, the original investment, let's say it was $100, right? And then plus your interest, $4, and 4.25 if it's 4.25%. And as David said, you've got choices on what you want to do with that. But it is at the end of that 1 year maturity, these are 1-year notes, that you will get your principal and your interest back.
Thank
But
you
we've
both for that.
actually seen,
Okay.
I was just going to say, we've seen some folks do, if you've ever heard the concept of a ladder. So some
Mhm.
folks invest in every offering. And what then becomes is every quarter, their principal and interest is maturing, and then they can roll it or receive it. And so they almost have this kind of a portfolio of I invest, it comes back in a year, I reinvest, it comes, and this is going on every quarter because these are issued on a quarterly basis. So it's kind of a laddered portfolio of sorts.
Yeah, we've been excited to see so many repeat investors coming back each quarter and renewing every year. It's been very, very exciting, very fulfilling for us to see that support from the community, not just in Connecticut, but as David said, in 42 other states. So it's very exciting. All right, so we are at 12:30. I'll just go back one slide here to the screen. If there are other questions that folks have, please feel free to reach out at any point. The offering is still open, so please go and visit greenlibertynotes.com and find out more, read all about it. And again, thank you all for attending today. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jackie, for being
Thank you.
here. And we look forward to offering many more Green Liberty Notes in the future.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, everyone.